All right, let's talk about something that's getting smarter and, frankly, scarier every single day. Digital fraud. It's this invisible crime wave, but you know what? By the end of this, you're going to have the tools to see it coming. We're going to pull back the curtain on how these criminals work and, most importantly, how to shut them down. Okay, look at this number, $645 million. Just let that sink in for a second. To give you some perspective, that is a staggering amount of money. And what it represents is something really personal and, for a lot of people, totally devastated.
Yep, that's the amount of money that was reported lost by Canadians to scammers in 2024 alone. But here's the really scary part. That huge number? It's just the tip of the iceberg. And the reason for that is because the game has completely changed. We are not fighting the same old scams anymore.
This isn't your classic poorly written email from a foreign prince asking for help. No way. We are now up against what experts are calling an invisible crime wave, and it's being supercharged by artificial intelligence. So, the real question is, how do you fight an enemy you can't see, one that can sound exactly like someone you love and trust?
So what is it that makes this new wave of scams so different, so much more dangerous? Well, it really boils down to two things: mind-blowing technology and a very deep, very cynical understanding of how we think. Let's first dig into why this threat is everywhere, yet it manages to stay hidden in the shadows.
This right here, this chart tells you so much about the psychology of it all. Experts estimate that a shocking 90 to 95% of fraud never even gets reported. So why is that? It's because these criminals don't just steal your money, they weaponize shame. Victims feel embarrassed, or they just don't know where to turn. And that silence, that's what lets this problem grow.
And then there's the tech side, which honestly is terrifying. Scammers can now use AI to perfectly clone a loved one's voice from just a tiny audio clip online. They can create that panicked emergency call that feels so chillingly real. They can generate emails from your bank that look absolutely perfect, right down to the last pixel. The line between real and fake has never been so blurry.
Okay, so this is where we start fighting back. Because if we really want to protect ourselves, we have to understand the enemy's playbook. The moment you can recognize their tactics, you take away their power. So let's peek inside that playbook. You've got sophisticated phishing. It's not just a fake link. It's an urgent text about a tax refund that's designed to make you act before you think. The grandparent scam. It doesn't just clone a voice. It manufactures sheer panic to short-circuit your rational brain. Romance fraud is a slow burn, a long, cruel game. And tech support scams? They prey on our fear of losing all our precious data. Just knowing these patterns is your first line of defense.
All right, so we know their tactics. Now, let's talk about how to spot an attack while it's actually happening. These are the red flags that should immediately make your internal alarm bells go off.
Think of these as your own personal fraud detector. First up, the urgency trap. If anyone pressures you to act right now and keep it a secret, that is a huge red flag. Second, weird payment methods. Let me be clear, the Canada Revenue Agency is never ever going to ask you to pay your taxes with iTunes gift cards. Third, look for inconsistencies. And fourth, just be skeptical of any message that comes out of the blue about a problem you didn't know you had. If you spot even one of these, stop. And here is a super simple but incredibly powerful action you can take. Before you click anything in an email that feels even a little bit off, just hover your mouse over the sender's name. Don't click, just hover. This will show you the actual email address it came from. If it's a bunch of random letters and numbers or just doesn't look right, delete. It's that simple.
Look, spotting scams is one thing, and it's super important. But the best defense? It's being proactive. It's time to fortify your digital front door before the bad guys even try to pick the lock.
Seriously, think about it this way. You wouldn't leave the front door to your house unlocked, would you? Of course not. So why would we leave our digital life, our banking, our email, our private photos just sitting there exposed? It deserves the exact same protection. It needs strong, reliable locks.
Okay, so let's install 4 essential locks on that digital door. 1, turn on 2-factor authentication everywhere. It's like a deadbolt. Even if they steal your key, your password, they can't get in without your phone. 2, use a password manager. It's the only sane way to have super strong, unique passwords for every single site. 3, set up Autodeposit for e-transfers. This stops crooks from intercepting money meant for you. And 4, don't forget the physical world. Shred that sensitive mail. And if you're wondering why a password manager is so non-negotiable, just look at this. The password on the left? A computer could crack that in seconds. Literally. The one on the right, created by a password manager, it could take centuries. That complexity and uniqueness is your best armor.
Okay, but what if? What if you're worried you've already been targeted, or worse, that you've already lost money? The first thing to remember is, do not panic. Panic is what they want. What you need is a clear, calm plan.
And before we get to the plan, I really want you to let this sink in. This is maybe the most important thing to hear today. There is absolutely zero shame in being a victim of a professional criminal. These are sophisticated, organized groups. They are pros at this. It is not your fault.
So if you suspect something is wrong, you've got to move fast. Here is your 3-step emergency plan. Step 1. Call your bank and your credit card companies immediately. Tell them to freeze everything. Step 2. Report it to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center. This helps them track these criminals and warn other people. And 3. File a report with your local police to get it on the record.
And finally, here it is. The single most powerful weapon we all have against these crooks. Talk. Talk about it with your family, your friends, your coworkers. Ask them, hey, did you get that weird text too? The more we share, the more we warn each other, the less power they have. Open communication is their absolute worst enemy.
So, I'll leave you with this one question to think about. After everything we've talked about today, take a second and be honest with yourself. Is your digital front door truly locked? And if not, what's the one lock you're going to add today?